weebs, furries, Star Wars fans, archivists. What do these four groups have in common? They are all cosplayers. My name's Christian. I am a fashion genius, and I'm world-renowned. I've spent decades researching this very question. Whether peak fashion, high fashion, acts as a vessel to represent who we truly are, or instead is a costume worn by nerds. My years of research have led me to some very interesting conclusions. Types of conclusions that could possibly expand your mind waves and will almost certainly revolutionize the way that you think about fashion. When I say fashion, you say what? I am talking about peak fashion, high fashion, and if we consider the trickle-down theory as promoted by Miranda Priestley, all of fashion's best ideas begin at the peak. What are the types of things that high fashion designers like to create? They describe in their garments a creative class, a cool class. Consider this. We all just want to be big rock stars. It's simple math, really. Designers like Raf Simons and Eddie Salmon are obsessed with rock and roll music. When they design collections, especially in Eddie's case, they are often an emulation of music stars. Consider another point. How do high fashion brands advertise their clothing? PR is a big part of it. All your favorite high fashion labels have massive PR brands or groups behind them, sending garments constantly to celebs, to hip-hop artists, to the creatives that you admire the most, because they know if you see your favorite Migos in those garments, you will associate the garments with that type of culture. Fashion is designed around ideals of the creative class. The avant-garde, the counterculture, and they embody types of people that are cool people. The rock and roll star, the bondage god, the patchwork king. These are all archetypical cool guys in our society. But what types of people buy these high fashion garments? In America, it is primarily the upper class. And what types of jobs do these upper class folk have? Let's take a look at the graph. We see managers, physicians, CEOs, and lawyers at the top. And what kind of jobs are these? These are narc jobs, with lawyers literally. The types of people who are buying the most high fashion are narcs. They're lamos. They're nerds. They are doofuses who don't typically embody that creative culture. And whether or not it is the narc buying it, or your narc dad buying it for you. It is still disassociated from the creative stars that designers are looking at. What's that? What? Not convincing enough for you? What about the archivists? Well, let me take you on a tale. Martin Margiela started his brand in obscurity. The original garments had white labels, and you only really knew or understood Margiela if you were in the know. If you were a member of the cool kids club, that was the nature of Margiela. The first stores were in obscure locations in major cities. The first one in New York, in the West Village, hidden away. What about today, though? Today, before the pandemic, Margiela just opened a new store in Soho. Prime shopping real estate. Margiela, the brand, has released a fragrant line. A fragrant line that I am currently wearing. But an obvious sign of a brand trying to make some money. Before fashion brands had gatekeeping by means of people in the know. You wouldn't really know or understand Margiela before the internet without knowing some cool people. But today, the internet has essentially erased that previous gate. You can learn anything about anything. Doesn't matter how cool or uncool you are. Instead, the only gate now is money. Money is what makes items exclusive or limited. Money has always been linked to high fashion, but it now plays an even more central role. With new platforms like Grailed and like StockX, streetwear has literally become a tradable commodity. And as a commodity that is tradable, like anything you would find on the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones Industrial Average, fashion is now being gatekeeped by money. In fact, an archive is an Enlightenment idea, is it not? Is it not? And the Enlightenment had the flawed philosophy that knowledge is power. And that basically meant that Europeans have the colleges, i.e. Europeans are in power, i.e. you're dumb. That sounds like, to me, narc thinking. Simply put, for the majority of fashion wearers, they are not existing a truer form of themselves. They are dressing up as a cool person who they never were. But is this a bad thing? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. Go ahead. Cosplay, after all, a portmanteau of costume play, is a form of performance art, not unlike Yves Klein's famous Leap into the Void. Cosplayers dress up as their favorite fictional characters because they admire the qualities that those characters have. So whether you are an enthusiast of Japanese culture or Belgian culture, there is a cosplay for you. And I do believe that as long as we are dressing up as these cool dudes, fashion will still have the same quality. Unlike other things that can make you look cool, like charisma, skills, being creative in writing, in art, in music, Fashion is something you can go and buy and put on your body. It's a free pass to being cool. And perhaps it always will be. Thank you. That is my TED Talk.
I have a head full of cheese puns, but I was told I have to keep it brie